Good morning, everyone. Distinguished European Union delegation representative, partners and donors, Caritas sisters, NGOs, INGOs, and UN agency representatives, Caritas Lebanon team, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you today in the first advocacy meeting, which will discuss a national referral pathway that maps all the services available to migrant workers in Lebanon. This is an initiative within the MIRA project, Migrants Rights Advocacy, supporting and advocating for the protection of migrants' human rights in Lebanon in partnership with Caritas Austria, Kafa and Amel Association, and founded by the European Union. Today, the world celebrates the World Humanitarian Day, and we are nearly from the International Day for the remembrance of the slave trade and its abolition. We remember all the victims, survivors, and people suffering from all kinds of abuses and violence in all its forms caused by all the harsh conditions that we all facing nowadays, especially in Lebanon. Caritas Lebanon, the arm of the Catholic Church, has been, and we always, the voice of the voiceless, aiming to help all humans regardless of their color, race, religion, and nationality. Every human being has dignity, and we should be able to see in every human God's spirit. I would like to emphasize on the work of our teams in the shelters. I truly appreciate their mission and also the contribution of EU and all the partners and donors. Due to your generous support, we are able to continue our mission in fighting the injustice and supporting the migrants throughout the migrant cycle. Lebanon is a country where we have in each family, or in the majority of our families, someone who has migrated to find better opportunity overseas. Therefore, whenever we hear their stories of success or they are treated respectfully, we become overjoyed. For this reason, we should be the ones who know better the bitterness of immigration and how difficult it is to leave the homeland, seeking food or shelter, and how important it is to be respected in these foreign countries. Let's be honest and hit the nail on the head. In Lebanon, some families lost humanity. For example, how can we accept that a lady who left her home and family and come to Lebanon to provide for her family nearly their basic needs, to be morally, physically, and sexually abused? It is unacceptable to use her in such manner or even to put her in very difficult war conditions, discarding the human rights, making her work as a mission. Forgive me for using such description. When we hurt the worker, we are hurting our family and her family back home. There is no excuse for such incredible violence. Prevention and protection begin with all of us. The change starts from how we raise our children in schools and homes, to teach them the value of these people who leave everything to come and help us with what our parents are most of the time too busy or not capable to do. We should change our mentality in seeing and recognizing these helpers as workers providing life-saving to our families. In order to do so, we should start with our children in early ages. This is the only way to change the culture of a society. We should stop discrimination, starting from work conditions to the way we treat the domestic worker at our homes, even reaching the way the government is treating them, starting from the arrival at the airport. We have clearly noticed how they are also discriminated in some governmental institutions whenever they need to do paperwork. These institutions reflect the face of our country and our culture. We should give them the best and most professional assistance, just as we expect from the countries we immigrate to. Amend the labor law to include the domestic workers under its protection, become a state part of ILO Convention number 189 on domestic workers and the International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of all migrant workers and members of their family, and implement the provisions in law, policy, and practice. Excluded from the labor law and trapped by the kafala system, our homes shouldn't be reasons for migrant workers. Join all our national efforts for a change. Kafala is slavery. For how many years have we been fighting the kafala system? Why is it that until now? When we reflected on all of that, we discover how poor we still, how poor in humanity we are. We need to change, shatter the silence and stop the violence. A small thank you in these very sought conditions does help in building a harmonious home, and it is time to do so. Thank you for your participation. I will leave the floor for Mr. Andreas Knapp, Secretary General of International Programs, Caritas Austria. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Father Michel. Thank you very much. It's really a great pleasure for me to join you online, and therefore I want to send my warm wishes from Austria. And I really appreciate that you are taking this important topic forward, because I think we clearly join you, Caritas Lebanon, we have here a real joint vision, in that sense that we're also trying to give the voiceless a voice, as you have said. And therefore, the sad reality is that sort of people, voiceless people or vulnerable people suffer even the most during times of crisis. And the crisis the country is also going through now. That's why it's even more important that you are not keeping silent and you continue raising these very important issues of migrants' vulnerability to exploitation and abuse and suffering because of all of this. And I also highly appreciate the European Union's continuous commitment to protection of migrant workers and human rights, because without their support, these efforts would not be that easy as we have them now. And really, I'm also very excited that many partners, international NGOs, local civil society organizations are joining us today and joining this whole effort to collectively try to abolish the kafala system, as you have mentioned it. And it's my strong belief that only through this collective effort we can really make a difference and be able to stop this practice. And on top of it, it's the whole joint advocacy effort but also one has to ensure that also the access to basic services, be it health services, vaccination, shelter, or services, you stated, starting from the arrival at the airport, to have access with dignity to these services, and specifically also access to protection services. And so, and this for the migrant workers, and specifically a very vulnerable group are the undocumented ones, who face even more problems than the ones which have some documentation. So in short, really, it's one of the priorities of Caritas Austria to support the most vulnerable people, and in that case, the migrant workers. And we have been supporting this for many years, and we are very happy to continue supporting this and really see a difference over the course of this partnership and over the course of this project. So I really wish you all the best, and I really appreciate your efforts of not being silent, even though the country is facing also multiple challenges at the moment, but that specifically during these hard times, you are still giving the most deprived people a voice. And this is highly appreciated. And we are more than happy to be on board supporting this and working together with you to really make a lasting difference for the migrant workers in Lebanon. So thanks a lot, and really all the best for this conference, but even more so for the continued action on this joint program. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Andreas. Wish you the best of luck, for sure. I'll start a little bit by summarizing the advocacy meeting initiative in this MIRA project. So we'll start with a brief about the MIRA project itself and about its initiative with all our partners and funded by EU. The MIRA, Migrants Rights and Advocacy, supporting and advocating for the protection of migrants' human rights in Lebanon, has started in January 1st, 2021 and till June 30th, 2022. It's an 18-month duration project, as I mentioned, the EU-funded project and implemented by Caritas Austria, Caritas Lebanon, Kafa and Amel Association in Lebanon. This project was designed to contribute to the protection and defense of the human rights of migrant workers in Lebanon and working towards the abolishment of the kafala system. This action is holistic and combines individual support to vulnerable migrant workers with advocacy action and enhanced collaboration with and among the local governments, community members, and other civil society organizations. Among its objectives, first, to enhance the abilities of migrant workers to access their rights and social protection services to prevent negative impacts resulting from migration. Second, to advocate for policies aiming at the protection of rights of migrants and monitoring the implementation of respective policies, which includes concrete actions to enhance conditions for migrant domestic workers. Third, to strengthen the capacity of and collaboration between Lebanese NGOs and CSOs working on achieving common human rights objectives for migrant workers and toward the abolishment of the kafala system. Among the outputs and activities we mention that female migrant domestic workers and their children, victims of GBV and human trafficking, have access to safe shelters by providing humanitarian and basic assistance to these victims in Kafa and Caritas Lebanon shelters, providing them with the legal medical assistance as well as psychological care, provide migrant domestic workers in shelters with awareness sessions on COVID-19 and their participation in psychosocial activities. Migrant workers and their families are aware of their legal status and receive counseling, social and health assistance by providing live-out migrant workers with legal counseling and possibilities to legally pursue their perpetrator, provide medical health assistance and COVID-19 awareness to among 640 live-out migrant workers. And the migrant workers as well receive social counseling and are referred to shelters if appropriate, if they are victims of GBV and abuse. Among others, migrant workers are empowered and aware of their rights in Lebanon through conducting awareness raising, offer capacity building and psychosocial sessions to migrant workers, and providing life skills training for women in shelters. The important component as well is the advocacy actions, and advocacy actions are conducted and employment standards that protect the human rights of migrant workers in Lebanon are endorsed by developing and coordinating advocacy strategy and actions, organizing a training of trainers, conducting advocacy actions for the rights of migrant domestic workers and abolishment of the kafala system. The awareness on the challenges and rights of migrants in Lebanon is raised within the population by developing an advocacy communication plan and organizing media campaign. Efforts towards the abolishment of the kafala system are increased and coordinated by elaborating social media press release, 10 advocacy coordination meetings with non-state actors, and capacities of stakeholders are built through trainings and knowledge exchange by conducting trainings with stakeholders, building capacity of implementing partners, and conducting staff care activities. We come here to the most important part of this meeting, which is the advocacy meetings initiative. The MIRA consortium coordinates these coordination meetings. Each meeting will cover topics related to the abolishment of the kafala system. During those meetings, CSOs and activists will be invited according to their experience related to the laws and their history in advocating the abolishment of the kafala system. In addition, judicial personnel, lawyers, and judges will be invited to participate on an occasional basis to share their legal expertise. These judicial personnel are encouraged to act as ambassadors in courts to raise awareness indirectly in taking decisions in favor of the most vulnerable. The core of these meetings is to end kafala and to collaborate and discuss alternatives of this system. Involving migrant communities, representatives will further reinforce our efforts. Depending on the measures taken to prevent the spread of COVID-19, meetings will be held either online or in person. The MIRA project team and the consortium will enhance its collaboration and coordination with other actors who provide direct assistance to migrant workers, namely NGOs, migrant domestic workers, community leaders, embassies, consulates, migrant working groups abroad, with the aim of better addressing migrant workers' urgent needs through advocacy and direct coordination of the service provision. The main areas of coordination will be determined jointly with other CSOs and includes developing, in coordination with these actors, a referral pathway, as well as the suggestion of increasing work efforts with relevant consular authorities for better protection of their nationals' rights. This may also include lobbying for and facilitating migrant domestic workers' travel from Lebanon back to their home country, monitoring the endorsement process of the standard unified contract, the Ministry of Labor helpline for migrant domestic workers, and other meetings and efforts. In this, MIRA seeks to strengthen the referral pathway between stakeholders through better acquaintance, exchanging of beneficiaries' needs and best practices, aiming ultimately at acting for the improvement of the migrant workers' living and working conditions based on a more holistic approach. A document will be prepared showing the detailed information concerning the services available and drawing a clear referral pathway. This document will be discussed now with Mrs. Fatima Karate, who joined the project as an advocacy officer. The data will be used as a reference at the end of the project to report about the services provided and the lessons learned. All the information of migrant workers shared will be treated in respecting the confidentiality, privacy, and do no harm principles. I leave Mrs. Fatima here to start with her section. Good luck and hope to have at the discussion part a good interaction between all of us. Thank you.
Dear all, thank you again for your participation in our first advocacy meeting. I would like to welcome you again in our first advocacy meeting. As Hassan said before, I would like to welcome Caritas Sisters, Kafa and Amel, International Labor Organization, Legal Action, Caritas Austria, and the EU. Thanks again, and I will start with our referral pathway template. Despite the high number of organizations working on migrant workers' rights in Lebanon, we are still lacking or tracking gaps in our services. Therefore, Caritas Lebanon thought of a way to fill this gap or to track the gaps we are facing. So we thought of this referral pathway template as a part of the MIRA project funded by EU and with our partners, Kafa and Amel and Caritas Austria. Thus, in front of you, you can find the template we are trying to work on, which is a referral pathway template having all the services that are supposed to be provided for Syrian refugees, Lebanese, migrant domestic workers, or other populations in Lebanon. So the referral pathway, as you can see, has all the services in the first part. In the second part, we have the target group that your organization is giving the service for. The third part is having all the casas in Lebanon. So you can click in which area you are working as an organization. We have all casas in Lebanon if you're working in all over Lebanon, and you can click if you are working only in some areas of Lebanon. In the fifth part, you can add your email or contact details of the referral pathway, the people who can send the email for, the referral focal points, and the second part is for the note. Simply, this is the referral pathway tool that we are hoping that all organizations working on, especially migrant domestic workers in Lebanon, and all organizations working on other target groups also can fill, so that we can combine all things together, so that we have a referral pathway available for all domestic workers, organizations, people working in Lebanon, so they can access, fill the gap. We can see what the gaps we have, or what organizations working on what special service. So simply, this is the referral pathway template. We have an open discussion now. You can ask any question. You can share the problems or obstacles you are facing in your organization and the referral pathway. Does anyone want to intervene in sharing obstacles faced by your organizations?
Hello, this is Zaina Misel from the ILO.
Hello, Zaina.
Hi, thanks everyone for joining today, and for Caritas, Kafa and Amel for coordinating this project and this activity. I would like to start with kind of like a strategic question, not specifically related to the points you presented on the PowerPoint, but you might be aware that first of all, there's the coordination group that is led by IOM and ILO that has two kind of areas of focus, one related to humanitarian support and the other related to advocacy. We have been putting this on hold for the last month because there is also an interest by donors through OCHA to focus more on migrant workers. And IOM launched a call for proposals in this regard, and it's in the last phase of compiling all these proposals, and then we will reinitiate the migrant worker working groups. So my question is, how do you see this complementing the initiative that is already existing and that is comprised? I mean, I saw the invitation list when you kindly shared the invitation with me, and there are many organizations that are in the two groups already. So in terms of synergy, complementarity, what is going to change? And my second question is, you may also be aware of the mapping that has been done by IOM, and which is already, it has a very close structure to what you just presented. So again, how's the complementarity there? It's about trying to maximize the use of resources, the time of organizations that focus on migrant workers. So that's the kind of general scope of the question. And I might have some other comments later on, but I'm curious about this now. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Actually, all efforts are complementary to each others, and all referral pathways done in UN agencies, ILO, and other agencies are to be used in our referral pathway template. We actually need to gather all information available so that we have a maybe national referral pathway for all services given for especially migrant workers and domestic workers in Lebanon. So all the mentioned tools and mentioned referral pathways will be used, hopefully. That's why we invited all these organizations so that we have all the information to be gathered all together.
Thank you. So just a nota bene, I mean, on the issue, and I'm happy we have you also donor organizations here. Just to take note that the challenges that face migrant workers in Lebanon and the stagnation in terms of progress is not really related to lack of funding, nor lack of initiatives. It's related to the stagnation in policy reform and the intention to move forward on these reforms. So I hope that we will arrive at a closer coordination, because again, there's a lot that has been done, a lot that is ongoing, and yet the problems are with the same magnitude. So it's important to reflect together and how the crisis that is affecting the whole Lebanese community is also not only marginalizing the domestic workers and migrant workers more, but also it will make it much harder to move forward on any kind of reform. So the way we used to operate before the crisis cannot be followed with the same, I mean, the rhetoric has to change, the narrative has to change, the approach has to change, because it is a crisis situation that cluttered with so many other problems. But good luck with that, and we remain here to support as ILO. Thank you.
Thanks, thank you. Any other intervention? We are planning to send you this template so that every organization can fill the template. It's easy, as you already saw the template. You have only to click on the service you provide, the target group that this service targets, which area, and the referral contact person, so that it's easier to access. And when we receive back this template from all the organizations, we are going to prepare an online referral pathway that will be available for all and will be accessible for migrant workers and organizations. So does anyone want to add anything? This referral pathway, as mentioned before, is specific for MIRA project that's funded by EU and implemented by Caritas Lebanon, Caritas Austria, Caritas Lebanon, Amel Association, and Kafa. So this template will be a referral pathway for migrant domestic workers services in Lebanon, and generally other services provided for other target groups. Then I will leave the word for Ms. Hassan.
Thank you, Zena, for your comment, valuable comment as usual. Thank you for your support as well as the UN agency. We always work in this partnership with all our stakeholders, NGOs, INGOs, government, and especially you as UN agencies. So we are really keen to continue all together all these efforts. This initiative is not duplicating any of the other initiatives already done in the field in supporting migrant domestic workers. Since the economic crisis has started after Beirut Blast and nowadays with the increased number of corona cases, we see on the field that all the domestic workers are in need of any kind of help and support. And I would emphasize here as well that really we have gaps in funding, especially and in supporting indirect services for these migrant domestic workers. Daily, we're struggling to get the help for migrant domestic workers in terms of medical assistance, shelter assistance, protection, legal assistance, all kinds of services that we can't count as they are. You know better, and I think you are receiving, as we are receiving all calls from migrants struggling with their children stranded here to have any kind of support and help, even with their tickets, with milk, diapers, humanitarian assistance. So it's very huge. And thanks for this ERP now that we are all waiting to support through it the migrant workers, especially the migrant domestic workers, in all the resources, let's say, and hope that we can at least help in providing a little bit and maybe half of their needs and calming down their struggle with their children here stranded in Lebanon. So again, I repeat that it's not any duplication that we're doing. It's only like continuing and complementing all our efforts together, having more clear support and channeling these services for migrant domestic workers and the others, as my colleague Fatima has mentioned, not only for migrant workers, but also for Lebanese and for refugees and other populations here in Lebanon. So waiting to have this clear referral pathway when we will be sending it by email, so you can fill it and send it back. So it will be an online tool, and it will be as well complementing ILO and IOM efforts in this migrant workers coordination group and all it means. So hand by hand, we're supporting each other. We're supporting your initiative as UN agencies and other NGOs, INGOs. And this is not only the first coordination meeting, as we have mentioned, but it's only the first summarizing meeting. Let's say it's a summarizing meeting to start with other coordination meetings to abolish at the end, hopefully, the kafala system that till now, even with your initiative, the government initiative, we're going step by step, and we're going in order to have this system abolished at the end for the long-term objective. Thank you. I did a long comment and answer. But this is for clarifying what we're doing in terms of MIRA project initiative and coordination meetings with all our partners supporting domestic workers in Lebanon.
Thank you, Jade, for your comment. I will read it out loud. Okay. Hi, it's great that you mentioned that the pathway is accessible for migrant workers. Just to clarify, you mean the migrant community leaders? Will the process include the facilitation of how to use the template, and will it also be available in different languages if needed? Okay, to start the answer, this template is not the final template. This template is made for you as organizations to fill in. However, the template that will be, the online template that will be gathering all the information will be a different template. More simple and more accessible. Yes, it will be accessible for community leaders, NGOs, and it will be in a way or another accessible for migrant workers also, maybe at the centers, maybe at the information sessions and other activities with the migrant workers. They will have an access to this template, so that they can know which organization is giving which service in which area in a easy way, so that they don't have more difficulties in accessing the services and other through their life. I mean, so is it available in different languages? Actually, we have awareness flyers in different languages for domestic workers, and in these flyers there's information on how to access services. Actually, I'm not sure if this template will be accessible in different languages, but it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. We can discuss internally. So, if you don't have anything to add, I will repeat that this template will be shared with you all, so that you kindly fill in and send it back, so that we can discuss more in the second advocacy meeting, and we can combine all the information gathered from you all in one template, so that we can have it accessible for all. Of course, it can, for people who cannot access internet, it can be printed on. It can has hard copies. I mean, it can be done in hard copies and printed and distributed through info sessions and other activities with migrant workers.
Hassan, Fatima, and all the team, thank you very much. Thank you for the participates in this meeting, okay, together now. But our work and our mission is not only with NGOs, is with Lebanese people and with families where workers are working every day. So we should be more present in the media, okay, and we should, teach these people to accept this worker in their houses. So thank you very much, because that I mentioned in my speech, in Lebanon, we lost the humanity, okay, regarding this worker. So thank you very much for your participation for all the NGOs. And I think we will continue our work and our mission about all the job. Thank you very much. God bless you.